The Dark Knight is revered as one of the best stories in Final Fantasy XIV, and honestly, after clearing up the Stormblood quests, I believe so. It is without a doubt one of the most heart-wrenching tales that makes the Warrior of Light show the cracks of their humanity in the best way possible. I've had the honor of retelling the story here, and this is what happened. But a quick moment from today's sponsor. Okay, so I don't put any game or product in front of you that I don't actually believe is worth your time. So let me just say, this is worth your time. Today's sponsor is eWin Racing Chairs. I've worked with them a couple of times now, and unironically, they have been the best gaming chairs that I have ever had. They kept asking me to review another chair after the first one, but the problem was that their first chair was so damn good, I didn't need a new one. This is after 2+ years of daily use. The chair I have from them is their Champion series, and it is all the best cushions and features in the best way possible. Smooth, comfortable, I mean, incredibly easy to set up. I mean, what more could you ask? I've included a link of their chair in the description below, as well as a code for 20% off extra of your order using the code CDG at checkout. You won't regret it. Anyway. This story picks back up with our buddies Cid and Riel. If you remember, Cid was the one who helped guide us through our Heavens Ward foray as a Dark Knight as we uncover the shenanigans about Riel and her psycho mother. That's a whole other chestnut that we'll talk about in another time. So we go and talk with him and patrol the city of Ishgard, and literally don't get too far until we stop and turn around to view the House Fortom Manor, with a bit of a somber memory, of course in memory of our lost friend Harchenfall. We talk to Cid, and then we see that our freaking Dark Knight Soul Crystal shatters and breaks into two, and in walks this little blue-haired, definitely not Isale boy named Mist, who tells us that he has the power to help people, but like, that's it. That's all he gives us. He just says, hey, we can help people. That's very anonymous. Honestly, we really just got to stop accepting that all these, oh, we can help it. We got to kind of vet them out, you know? So we walk around trying to speak to the people who are in distress for this spirit child to do something. Well, talking to Millie here, we find out that she is in fact in distress. She's the cousin of Sir Ignace Vasant of the Heavens Ward, and since uncovering their terrible crimes, has become somewhat of an outcast in society. She's been doing everything that she can to make amends and honor him, but she's running out of money and, well, it's not looking good for her. So she's perfect for us to test this kid's completely unknown and potentially deadly power. Seriously, there are some logistics here, but anyway. So we meet somewhere private to talk to Millie, and in walks Ignace with Mist. Apparently, Mist can summon illusions of people we lose. Ignace says, hey, it do be like that sometimes, so remember me for who I was. An evil son of a gun, a good man. Well, Mist says that we have to go out into the wilderness to dispel the magic, and we suck up the unholy black juice with Sin Eater, and that ends it. It seems that we get to get a bit of our power back into our soul crystal each time that we suck up the unsunny D. Not gonna lie, this kid's already a pain in the ass. So we are off to find another unfortunate soul, and lo and behold, we come to a prisoner in Tailfeather, and it's none other than Loudy, that lady who was the bartender who poisoned us and then tried to incite a rebellion against the dragons. Mist, of course, being as idealistic as Isale, is like, hey, we can help her. So we go and talk to the proctor, who is like low-key being an ass. I mean, like, I get it's supposed to be the Ishgardian church, but he's kind of a jerk. Well, immediately, without like any hesitation, he wants to throw hands, and then he summons some knights out of the woodwork. Like, I get defending your guy, but he's an ass. You don't have to help him. Well, we meet up with the group, and Loudy is talking to the ghost of her husband, Stace. She's smarter than I actually thought she was, and she sniffs through it immediately, and it's like, I know he's dead and gone, this is just an illusion, put it to rest. After talking to us for a little bit, she resolves to be a bit better and want to carry on, at least not for herself, for the memory of her husband, which was actually kind of nice. I suck up some more black floaty juice and we head back into town. We come back and of course Mist has a pile of sadness now. He can't get over the fact that his memory didn't work. Well, we say, hey, you know what, cheers someone up, talking to some Moogles. So we teleport to Mogholm, where Cid has had his big moment. You remember all the dancing Moogles, and you just, like, you know he hated it here. So the kids run off, and so does Cid to get them back, and we head right to the place where Cid had his dance party. Riel tells Mist about Cid and his past pains, and before anyone can stop Mist, he summons Cid and Frey's master, Ompage. He gives us some pretty good backstory about the boys, as well as Ompage's history. He was a commander at Ishgard, and he ushered tons of young soldiers and men into battle for them to never return. Eventually, it broke him as a commander, as a soldier. He said it was time for him to do something about it, and he became a Dark Knight. Well, this leads us into a battle against Ompage, and it is awesome. It's amazing. All the different moving mechanics, fighting spirits, and, you know, saving Riel. It was really a lot of fun. Well, we win, and Ompage tells Cid that he's actually proud of him, proud of who he has become as a Dark Knight. And Ompage viewed Cid and Frey as a way to atone from his mistakes. Maybe if he could raise these boys right and teach them how to dole out justice the appropriate way, it would be a way for him to atone for his sins. Well, we get back to Mogholm, and Cid is a little less angry, like a little bit, but honestly, it was probably for a good reason. The next quest takes us to Castrum Oriens in Girabania to find another unfortunate soul who needs our help. So we end up talking to Galleon, who, if you remember, who was a part of our little stint at Alamigo during the MSQ. Galleon is not long for this world, and his illusion is Hoodart. Who dat? Who is a friend of his. However, the illusion wants to talk to us outside. And we find out that if Galleon dies, the illusion disappears. So we need to get to Ralgar's Reach and offer one last prayer as Galleon's dying wish. Problem is that Galleon starts to, of course, die. Hoodart's illusion becomes more and more unstable, and once Galleon dies, so does Hoodart. Well, this sad tale ends with us right outside of Ralgar's Reach, and Hoodart's spirit disappears. He didn't make it, and now Mist is inconsolable. We reach the statue to offer a prayer to Ralgar, and Mist is more and more somber. Poor kid's losing it. So we get back to Ishgard to meet up with the guys, but Mist never made it back. Now we have to go and hunt down the boy and the last of the Aether that he stole from us. Back at Ralgar's Reach, we talk to some guards, and they have like no idea where this kid is, but some chocobos had their literal life force sucked out of them somehow, and he was like talking to some adder conjurers about the ins and outs of Aether. We talk to Cid and we find out that the boy left, and now we are hunting him out into the peaks. And we follow a huge trail of all of his Aether draining shenanigans, and we finally catch up to everyone, but Cid is down and Riel is unconscious. Oh boy. Mist apparently summoned Riel's mom, Yestride, and somehow she has gotten significantly stronger, like huge overpowerness coming from sucking chocobo juice? Really? Mist then starts berating us with how many lives we have ended on our journey. How many people died for us for that soul crystal that is ravaged by scars and markings of all the sins that we have committed. Mist goes crazy and then says we can summon all the illusions of all of our dead friends again, and nobody in the world will ever need to know what it's like to lose someone. I know it's all usually Aether, but seriously, the amount of Aether that this boy is asking for is astronomical. Calf Dad has heard enough, and honestly, look at this walk up with the greatsword. Perfection. Now we're fighting all these simulacras of the people and the evil that we defeated over the years. Yestride, some Temple Knights, but then he summons Livia, Ilbert, and the Rhinoceros guy, and starts telling us about how many sins we have to commit, how much strife we have caused. But then we hear an echo, and guess who it is? I tired of this charade. In walks the badass himself, Frey, the OG Dark Knight. Frey was a bit angry that we took so long to let him out. Mist starts having like a panic attack and then summons the Heaven's Ward and the Warriors of Darkness. Oh, it's go time. Frey and I are of course ready to throw hands, but I have to say, I'm sorry, I made a beeline straight for the healer. Always go for the healer, folks. Again, we clean up all these guys and then it's just Mist, who starts to fade into Aether. We tell Mist that goodbyes are a part of life and you must accept them for what they are. Life without loss is a lie. Frey forgives Mist for the trespasses so that Frey and Mist can walk together, fading back into the Soul Crystal. We talk one last time with Cid and Riel and then head back outside of House Four Toms Manor, where it all began, and we see the Big Daddy himself, Count Edmund. He greets us like a long-lost son, and then talks about how Harchenfant was the hero that he always knew he could be, thus completing the circle of this story. Oh man, this was some drama. Okay, so this is a lot to take in, so let's take it from the top. The biggest thing I need to point out is that I feel like Mist is a part of the Warrior of Light, the same way that Frey is a part of us. I believe that Mist is the physical representation of all the Warrior of Light's failings and the people that he has had to stop along the way. The burden of each death, of each kill, every life that was stopped short because of his doing is represented in this little boy. We journeyed through this entire storyline. I mean, notice how the crystal cracks as we are staring at Harchenfant's manor. The fact that Mist kind of looks like a young Elysian boy who has Isale's hair. Every step of the story was taking us to past failings and people that we unintentionally hurt. like Sir Ignace, who of course was a part of the Heaven's Ward and they needed to be stopped, but we had no idea the pain it would end up causing his family. Laudy, who was already dealing with the anguish of losing her husband, then had to suffer more because she stood up for what she believed was right. Cid even caught a stray of having to fight his master and learning a lesson from it. I mean, the point is that the journey of the Warrior of Light has been devastating and wrought with pain that it literally manifested and needed to be worked out in this regard. Despite being the beacon that everyone looks towards for hope and inspiration, they are still just one man. That's why Mist, who was steadily begging for forgiveness, it was a way for the Warrior of Light, who was asking for forgiveness for the sins that they have acquired over the years. Mist was the Warrior of Light's representation of, please, I am so sorry. I couldn't do everything I needed to. The beauty of this writing and the story is because it paints the main character, you, not only as an instrument that moves the plot along, but has their own feelings, their own pain, their own suffering, doubts, and more. I mean, it is absolutely a beautiful thing in MMOs, and it adds so much more depth here in Final Fantasy XIV, which of course we know is an RPG before it's an MMO. But regardless, the story does so much more to paint a picture behind all the pain and loss that we've acquired that it weighs on us. It adds an extra layer of complexity to your character and your story, and it's so beautifully done. Personally, it has been an absolute treat to do the Dark Knight quests as I have played this game, not only because of great story writing, but it adds that layer of depth to your typical MMO protagonist, without a doubt. Peak story writing, peak gaming in Final Fantasy, well done. If you want to see my first foray as a Dark Knight, you can click this video here. Otherwise, stay caffeinated, folks.